close the country, they always have the next one that they already got built up to replace it.
Exactly. But yes, we are
But,
literally live. I just hit the
oh,
button
okay. I didn't know that.
already. But yes, good afternoon, family. Hope you guys are doing great and welcome to another beautiful conversation right here on the media of the 21st century. This is Black on Fire Network, and my name is Joby. 2 minutes past 8 p.m. It's been a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm loving the weather lately. I can go back to wearing my short dresses, just
Been nice,
wearing
been nice and warm.
yeah, wearing some light, at least light sweaters, not some
Okay.
heavy ass jackets. So I hope the weather, maintains that way till December. But yes, karibuni sana
Uh,
once again. And I hope your day is going amazing. How is your day, Keith? How is the weather on your end?
well, I'm down. I'm almost in New Orleans. It's hot as hell. I just left Lafayette. I know it's like everybody says, guys. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Even when the economy does finally collapse, there's nobody. If you guys remember, and everybody remember this, early 1990s, we had this big Mexican migration. There are no. I went to two job sites, both of them in Lafayette. Shout out to Nish. And not one black person working these job sites. Not one. Not one token Negro. Not one. Everybody, and you know they're all. I know they're all illegal. You know why? Because none of them speak English, except for the one Mexican guy I was talking to give him the delivery and stuff. I had to deliver there, right? So it's only one. All of them, all didn't know them speak. And you in Louisiana, in the deep South, in Lafayette. So you know they're not from there because none of them speak English. So you know all of them are illegal. All of them. Because nobody, they ain't speak no damn English to sign no green card like the Kenyan guy, at least write an application to try to get there. They can't understand English. They don't speak it. I was just I was just thinking like, wow. I mean, this is just so in your face that what they're doing, guys. They're making black people, black men especially, because I hate to say most of our women hate our ass in America. I'm just keep it real. I know people like to hear that. Keep it real, right? Because we can't provide and protect, and that's just a woman's nature. And so these decent jobs, they're not great paying jobs. They're good paying jobs. In the kind of construction site, you're going to make decent money. You better, be able to afford to buy a vehicle, buy a house, support a family. Nobody black, not one. I was looking around, I said, damn, they got one black guy over there. No, not one. And that's everywhere I go now. It don't even be one. They used to be slick and give you one token black guy, one token Negro. So they want to say they don't want to say that they're discriminating against black people. Not one. Nowhere I go, they're not even looking for black people. Because of course they bring Mexicans because of the cheap labor, right? Cheap wages, pay them little to nothing. But then also they can control them. Say if you don't do what you're told to do, we're going to get you deported. We're going to call ICE, right? But the whole it is, they're not hiding right in plain sight. Everybody on this job site was illegal. No way they were legal because they didn't speak English. I'm like, wow. I don't ever see nobody black ever. You don't even get to, you guys know about construction. They got the main guys doing the main work, right? Like pouring the concrete, laying down the wood, hammering the nails, building the actual site. They usually got like a couple flunkies who really just carry stuff around. You ain't got black men that carry shit around. They ain't want you there to carry shit around where you get like half the pay, but you got a job.
I feel like it goes back to the video we were sharing yesterday of that young child, the 6-year-old boy who was being arrested, and the guy explained very well. This is how they get criminal records of you to the point you can't even be employed.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
exactly right,
yes,
exactly right, Joe.
Yeah, so maybe that's one of the main reasons why we you can't
Well,
see black people anymore in this kind
well,
of.
well, well, well nah, even with that's somewhat true because they do look at the criminal record. That's true. That's true. But they don't want to hire you anyway. So that's going to push you into criminality anyway. If you can't get a job
Yeah.
and you got my stomach touching my backbone, you leave me no other options than to turn to what? To criminality. That's all I got. I got to knock you in the head and steal your money and steal your phone. That's why you have supposedly high crime rates in black neighborhoods because of lack of employment. They know that. They're like, oh, black people are just criminals. No, black people are poor and put in criminality because they're poor. That's what breeds criminality.
Sure.
I'm just looking, and that's one of the few jobs black men could get left to support their families was construction work, Joe. That's gone. I don't think I've seen anybody black on a construction site, and I'm gonna be real, in the last 3 years. Not one. Everybody on that construction site is Mexican. Every last, and I'm not talking about Hispanic, because you got different kind of Hispanic, different kind of Latinos, right? Because you got Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. I'm talking about Mexican. I know the difference between a Mexican and a Puerto Rican and a Dominican. A lot of y'all can't, or a Cuban. So I'm not talking about Latinos. I'm talking about Mexican. They're all Mexicans all the time. Everywhere I go, from North Carolina to Florida to Georgia, and that's where I just came from Louisiana, Lafayette, Louisiana. All Mexican crews. All. Not one black person, not one black man, not one. So you asking yourself, where are black men being employed at? What jobs are
So
black what jobs are black men having? I just want to know because I just don't know where black men are being employed. And black men have got to go to the military. They don't want to go there, but that's the only job they got. They got to join the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, or the Air Force to get a job.
according to the
Yeah.
data, is that the data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics
Labor. Uh-huh.
shows that black men in America do not work in a single majority occupation, but rather
Of course
a
not.
span diverse range of fields. However, they are heavily concentrated in specific sectors, and
Yeah, you're black. Exactly right. I mean, those are the black jobs, Joby. Construction used to be a black job, but no more good. What
so
sectors are they?
the top employment sectors, we have the transportation and logistics, where a significant share of employed black men work as truck drivers, delivery services personnel, and material moving or warehouse workers. Then we have management and professional roles. Over a third of overall black workers are employed in management, business,
Okay.
financial operations, or related professional fields. And then we have service and office support, where administrative support, office administration, and public sector or protective services roles also account for large shares of employment.
Okay, when they talk about service roles, I mean people's broke. Remember under Bush, that no good white bastard, President Bush, they turned making a hamburger into like a service job. They talking about a bunch of poor people making chicken, making KFC, McDonald's, and all that other kind of shit. Means they're broke. So black people, black men, I don't know how we gonna survive. Wow, this is some scary shit. I'm just telling you. Those were just named sectors that really non-important that don't make any money. Maybe the
Yeah.
transportation field. Other
and
than
it's
that,
and, and it's not giving me a specification of where black Americans,
yeah,
which top jobs they are occupying as per 2026. It's not giving
yeah,
any
exactly.
data.
Because because there ain't no many. It ain't no. And I'm sure there's this job. Black men get and lose. They get and lose. They get and lose because there are no Man, these are scary times. I feel sorry for my grandkids. If you're black as a young kid, black man, good luck. This shit's crazy. So go ahead, Joe, but you guys go ahead.
It is crazy, very, very crazy. You need to be very educated as a black man, as a black
I,
person. I don't
I don't know
know. We can. Education.
how you gonna afford that? Education ain't
Well,
free.
well, we can pass that with the people, with the few of us who have, knowledge, critical thinking. We are lucky
True.
enough to pass
Start your own
that
school.
to our
Oh, that's
kids.
true.
But on the
That's
sector of
true.
finances, we have to go back. There's a song I shared today of Common I love so much. It's called Imagine. It talks about imagine us going back to where the dollar circulates just amongst us. So basically, how can we ensure that happens, where the money or the black wealth stays within the
Stays within
black
black people.
community?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you gotta have solidarity. You
exactly.
gotta have unity.
But yeah, as we get started with today's conversation, of course, being on a Wednesday, you guys know what's up. If you've been keeping up, of course, you know what's up. I come with history
If you
videos.
know, you know.
Yeah, and if you don't know, subscribe and stay on the know. Every Wednesday we share amazing history videos based on American history, mostly black related. But today we're gonna be focusing on, we've shared so many histories so far, man. I'm so proud of myself actually, because I've learned so much throughout it all, from the foods, the pig food, the nose, whatever, everything. I've learned I've learned so much, to the music, to the culture of the industry itself, how hip hop fell, how it rose, the jazz, everything, the economy, how black people maintained wealth, business. We shared last week businesses that, moved from generation to generation, or skills of maintaining money and all that. So today we're going to be looking at America as a whole, something that we talk about once in a while, or briefly, or deeply sometimes, about how
Uh-huh.
America lost its greatest industrial empire. And today we know that China is one of the countries that is heavily, producing,
Industrialized.
yeah, exactly, what America was doing.
Used to.
So
Used to.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I talked about this, I think 2 weeks ago, last week, when I was trying to understand something that is happening between why Africa is behind and why China is where it is today, and looked at how China actually is benefiting off the back of Africa. And I said something we just were discussing off camera, just me and Keith right now, is again the question: China, one of their escape countries, the way they do, knowing that they always have a backup plan. I always say they always have an agenda. For me, they always have an agenda.
Well,
These people are way.
they drain the country, and then they move to the next. They start the next empire, knowing that they're going to drain a country and it's going to crash eventually. So they always move to the next empire. They set up the next empire before they crash their old empire.
Yeah, so let me play this as we get started.
There's something deeply unsettling about driving through the middle of America
Of course,
today.
it's my AI person. So yeah, jibba jabba. Yeah. Before you all come for me, of course, it's my AI person.
You pass through towns where the skyline is still shaped by smokestacks, but nothing.
Doesn't
It's
have
like,
all the
pause it. Pause it. No, you got to love it. Pause it. Exactly. It is something deeply disturbing, in which we were talking about last week with Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana was one of those towns that was a highly industrial town. And you go there now, Gary, Indiana, it's like, man, I gotta get the hell out of here. So that's what I'm talking about. When you go through the central part of America, what they call the Rust Belt, these towns are just destroyed. They're impoverished. That would be Gary, Indiana, because they all had what? Industries before they packed them up and sent them to China. And now the towns have just died because they've now been made impoverished. Go ahead, Joe.
Nothing comes out of them anymore. You see factories the size of cathedrals with shattered windows and weeds crawling up through the loading docks.
Or just torn down.
With more vacancies than tenants, and houses that look like they were abandoned in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon. Doors still open, curtains still hanging. And if you stop and talk to the people who stayed, the ones who didn't leave when the plant closed, they'll tell you a story that sounds less like an economic statistic and more like a funeral. Because that's what happened here. Something died. And nobody has been able to explain, at least not honestly, why the most powerful industrial nation in the history of the world decided to take apart the very machine that made it powerful.
That made
This
him
is the
rich.
question that nobody in Washington, nobody on Wall Street, and nobody in any boardroom wants to answer directly. America built the greatest industrial empire the planet has ever seen. It outproduced every rival, won wars with factory output alone, and created the largest middle class in human history, all on the back of manufacturing. And then, over the span of roughly 4 decades, it methodically dismantled that empire. Not because it had to, not because some foreign army conquered it, but because a very specific set of decisions, made by a very specific set of people, made it more profitable to destroy American industry than to sustain it. And if you follow the money, the
Keywords, a very specific set of people. That's it. A very specific set of people. That gives you the answers of everything.
policy papers, the trade deals, and the exposed
Exactly.
factory floors, you start to see a pattern that is far more disturbing than any simple story about technology or globalization. To understand how America destroyed its own factories, you first have to understand what it built in the first place. Because the scale of what existed, the sheer enormity of the industrial machine
Was
that
huge.
once hummed across this country, is almost impossible to comprehend from where we stand now. Let's go back. Before the skyscrapers, before the tech campuses, before the algorithms and the quarterly earnings calls, America was a country that made things, physical things, heavy things, things you could hold in your hand and feel the weight of.
It made,
And the
it made
story of how
everything.
it became the world's factory really begins in the decades after the Civil War, during a period that historians call the Second Industrial Revolution. In the 1860s and 1870s, the United States was still largely an agricultural nation. Most Americans lived on farms or in small towns. The economy was powered by cotton, grain, timber, and livestock. But
With the
beneath the
slavery.
surface, something was changing. Railroads were being laid at a furious pace, connecting the vast interior of the country to coastal ports and urban markets for the first time. And where the railroads went, industry followed. Steel was the material that made it all possible. Andrew Carnegie,
And
a
now,
Scottish
pause
immigrant who had
this. Now,
started
pause this. And I'm going to tell you that Carnegie and Rockefeller, remember, these dudes were broke. Have any money? They don't tell you it was the cats that with them fucking hats that financed Carnegie and financed Rockefeller. See, they're not going to tell you this in this goopy AI documentary here. That Carnegie was financed by the Rothschilds, and so was Rockefeller. So let's see. I'm gonna ask Google if Google would tell the truth, but probably not because they own it. They created the cats with that created Google. So let's see. Ask the Joey. Say was John D. Rockefeller financed by Rothschild money? Say was John D. Rockefeller financed by Rothschild money? And Carnegie too. They both work. But you're not to know that. See, the scam is that you're not to know that.
Financed by Rothschild.
Say was John D. Rockefeller financed by Rothschild money? They want to believe. Everybody believe they were self-made millionaires and became billionaires. It just happened automatically. What does it say?
No, John D. Rockefeller was not financed by the Rothschild family when building his early career or founding Standard
See,
Oil.
it's a lie. He was. Because how does an impoverished John D. Rockefeller start buying up all the oil companies around him without any money? Where does the money come from? And there's a book, I gotta go get that book again, showing it definitely. Him and Carnegie. So I want you to also ask Google about, say, was this that racist bastard here? Say Andrew Carnegie. Remember, they're all involved in the depopulation of the world. Carnegie, Rothschild, all under the Rothschilds. Rockefeller, they all got the same ideology of the Rothschilds, who funded their ass and who created them. So I want you to say, ask Google to say, was Andrew Carnegie, this bastard here, and say, was he funded by Rothschild money? And I'll keep saying no. Okay. Remember, he's a poor Irishman. Well, let's see what it say.
Andrew Carnegie was not funded by the Rothschilds. He built his steel empire primarily through early strategic investments retained retained earnings and loans from domestic
With
American
what?
banks.
With what? With what money? See, they don't know. Okay, now pull this up, Joe. Ask Google to say was Andrew Carnegie a poor immigrant? A poor immigrant. Say was Andrew Carnegie a poor immigrant? Ask him that, because then you never know where the money come from. Then.
Yes.
Yeah. So where the money come from, Joe? From buying all these big steel plants and buying all this shit at? He's poor. Rockefeller was poor. Where the money come from? Where the money come from? It just appeared. He made investments with what money? With what money? John D. Rockefeller, poor, impoverished. Daddy was impoverished. Where'd the money come from? How was he buying up all the oil fields everywhere? As an impoverished individual, come out of West Virginia, or however Rockefeller was from. He's from West Virginia, or Western Pennsylvania, or some shit. And Carnegie was an immigrant, impoverished, living in projects. This moron was living in a project. And all of a sudden he got money to build big ass steel mills in the late 1800s, where money was really, it's almost like being in Africa where money's not worth shit. Right? It's like, what? You got it. See, these stories, all these fake stories are phony. They want to give you a fake. It's like the Elon Musk story. They're big, all their stories are fake. They're all fake. Because if you like to do critical thinking, you ask, okay, where'd the money come from? Then become a steel a tycoon, a steel billionaire. Where'd it come from? He ain't had no money. Ain't want nobody gonna give him no money. And then you find out that these bastards were part of these same secret lodges run by the Rothschilds through the Warbirds. Who was in Jekyll Island when Joby showed you? Oh, the Warbirds, when they're making this funny money in 1913. That him and Rockefeller were part of the same secret organization, which was secretly controlled by the Rothschild family. You're not to know none of this. You're supposed to believe this poor-ass immigrant became a billionaire, which is a lie. It's impossible to do. You're supposed to believe that John D. Rockefeller, a fucking nobody, just had the money to start buying up all these oil fields all over the country without no fucking money. Where'd the money come from? Never want to follow the money. Where did John D. Rockefeller get the money? He was poor like Carnegie. Where'd the money come from? Well, you know, he became wealthy. How? Well, he made investments. How did he make investments? He was broke with money. Well, ain't no investments back then. Give you no billions of dollars. Don't they give you millions of dollars back then? Well, we know the story don't make sense, but just believe what we write. You know the story don't make no sense. Go ahead, Joby.
As a bobbin boy in a cotton factory, built an empire around steel production in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Of course, that's what they're gonna say.
A poor boy in a cotton factory, Joby. That means he was making back in 1800, Joby. That means this motherfucker was probably making maybe $2 a day. Maybe. How you become a billionaire and invest with $2 a day when you had to have all that money to eat and pay whatever rent he had to pay? So he had no money for no savings. So this is a lie. Because all money he made being poor and working at a cotton gym, whatever the fuck he's working at, right? He had to eat every day and he had to pay rent. So he had no money to invest in nothing. So that you know this story is a lie. He's impoverished. So he doesn't make enough money to invest in shit. This story is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Joby.
Because if he was making $1.20 a week, that's not making, because that's what Google is saying. His first job
$1.20. So, Joe, he had to pay rent, he had to eat. So where did the money come to invest and make him a billionaire and own steel mills of $1.20, Joby, a week? I was saying $2 a day. He's making that a day. He's making that a week. See, that's how you do critical thinking. So you know the story you've been told is a lie. So within that period of time, like 10 years, now he's a billionaire of $1.20.
Nope.
You're like, what? Story don't even make sense. You know why? Because it's a fucking lie.
Carnegie Steel was producing more steel than all of Great Britain. His Bessemer converters and open hearth furnaces turned raw iron ore into the structural backbone of a new civilization. Steel went into the rails, the bridges, the buildings, the ships. It was the skeleton of modern America, and Carnegie was not alone. John D. Rockefeller was building Standard Oil into a refining monopoly.
I told you gonna mention John D. Almost at the same time, both these poor motherfuckers with no money, Joby. Both these poor motherfuckers making $1.20 a week. Now get control of home markets with no money, with no motherfucking money. See, that's the scam they want to give you. But both these motherfuckers were propped up by the Rothschild agents. The Rockefeller. That's why you hear when they do all these secret meetings with John D's grandson, and they all give homage to the Rothschild. That's right. That's right. Because the Rothschild family's built these motherfuckers. He's not an independent billionaire. Neither one of these morons became independent billionaires. It's all a lie. They are funded and backed by the Rothschild. And then they were too young. Remember, they were all young when they were making all this money, making $1.20 a week. And all of a sudden now, in 7 years, they're billionaires. Man, if you don't get the hell out of here with that goofy shit. Go ahead, Joe. Everything you hear is a lie on top of a lie. And you've been giving that lie for the last 100 years. Oh, take your time when you come back. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead.
That controlled roughly 90% of the nation's oil.
How did he do that?
J.P. Morgan was consolidating railroads and banks into financial empires that spanned the continent. These men, the so-called robber barons, were ruthless and often criminal in their methods.
Pause it, Joby. They got J.P. Morgan. Okay, here we go again. Now I want you to check this up. Say, did J.P. Morgan get bailed out by the Rothschild? Say, did J.P. Morgan, which you see right now, J.P. Morgan and Chase, biggest banks in the country. Say, this as the J.P. Morgan get bailed out by the Rothschild, which he did. But they're gonna tell you no. Let's see.
No, JP Morgan did not get bailed out by the Rothschild family. Rather, JP Morgan and Rothschild family teamed up to bail out the U.S. government.
Of course. So see, they got him in. I'm about to tell you that. How did I thought the Rockefellers and the Carnegies were the richest people in the world. How did the Rothschilds bailing out the American government because they're about to take it over? Because I told you they're about to take it over with that funny money joke, that big paper. See? So you're getting part of the truth, but not getting the truth. They don't want to tell you that no, J.P. Morgan had went broke. The bank was insolvent. And so what the Rothschilds did, said, we're going to use you as an agent, motherfucker. We're going to buy you up. And you're going to do our bidding in America. They don't want you to know that. Oh, no, it was J.P. If it was J.P. Morgan, why did he need the Rothschilds to bail out the American government? He was supposed to be the biggest bank in America. Why do you need the Rothschilds, who wasn't American? Who over what, Joe? The British Empire. Remember? So Britain's collapsing, and then the new empire becomes America. You get that? Who controlled Britain and the British Empire? Oh, the Rothschilds. They own the British bank. And now they own what? The American bank. Ain't that funny? Ain't that? And supposedly Rockefeller and Carnegie, these poor dumb bastards, these impoverished bastards, all of a sudden become billionaires. And they're gonna tell you, Joe, I'm sure you're gonna tell you within this goofy ass documentary, which is a lie, because they gotta promote this lie. Because Carnegie supposedly became the richest man in the world, and then John D. Rockefeller, which is a lie. Because the Rothschilds are 10 times richer than both these motherfuckers put together. Put together. Right? Put together. So, and that's why you never hear the Rothschilds' name ever mentioned as the richest people in the world. You never hear their names. You never hear them. Elon Musk is down there. Ain't nobody richer than the Rothschild family. Nobody. It's not even close. Because they own all the banks. And that's why you can't know their name. As you did that story in the Rothschild showing that they're the richest family. But if they're the richest family, that means they're the richest people in the world. And not by a little bit either. They were the richest people in the world even back then. They said, oh, John D. Rockefeller's the first billionaire, which is a lie. Which is a lie. Rothschilds are 10 times richer than that, even back then. And they're the ones who propped their ass up. That money came from Rothschild money. John D. Rockefeller was a puppet. The Rockefellers are puppets of the Rothschilds. The Carnegies are puppets of the Rothschilds. Just like you got your fake Gates and your fake Elon Musk. They always put puppet people up there so to hide them as being the power of the planet. You'll be mad at Bill Gates. You'll be mad at John D. Rockefeller. You'll be mad at Carnegie. Because remember, their policies are all the same wicked shit. Why does every policy never change with these wicked bastards? Because the actual Rothschild policy. That's why. Because they're not independently wealthy. They're created by the Rothschild family every time. But you're not to know that. You're not to know none of this. You're supposed to believe these stories they tell you. Oh, Carnegie. See, you don't ever know Carnegie was in the slums. The slums of America. All of a sudden he's a billionaire and he's got all these steel mills. You out of your fucking mind. Don't nobody impoverished become no billionaire in 5 years and control the world still. Are you insane? The only one who probably righteous them was Joe was talking about the Mellon family. Maybe them, but they took a long time, right? And Joe did that story about the Mellon family. Back then they were quiet and slow behind the scenes and taking over the steel and the oil. Maybe them, but not no Carnegie, no fucking John D. Rockefeller. But go ahead, Joe.
But they were also building something that had never existed before, an industrial base so vast and so productive that it dwarfed anything Europe or Asia had ever seen. By the turn of the 20th century, the United States had surpassed Great Britain as the world's leading industrial power.
Of course, and that's when so that's when the Rothschilds knew it was time to go in and blow. That's when the Rothschilds knew it was time to go in and blow.
Detroit, Chicago, and Buffalo were roaring with activity. Immigrants poured in from Eastern and Southern Europe, drawn by the promise of factory wages. The skylines of these cities were defined not by church steeples, but by smokestacks. And then came Henry Ford. In 1913, Ford introduced the moving assembly line at his Highland Park plant in Michigan. And in doing so, he changed the world. The assembly line didn't just make cars faster, it made mass production possible at a scale that had never been imagined.
And you get that? He got positive, and Ford got that from a black man. Ain't that funny? They hate us, but they always take our inventions and make them better. So Henry Ford got the idea of a plant from John Washington Carver. What's his name? Is it John Washington Carver? What the hell is Carver's first name? I can't remember Carver's first name. What was Carver's first name, guys? What was Carver's first name? Washington Carver? Washington. What the hell was Carver's first name? Shit, I can't fucking remember Carver's first name. Anyway, that's where he got the thing for a plant. What was Carver's first name, guys? You guys remember? I can't remember.
George.
You know, I'm getting George. Damn, George. George Washington Carver. God damn. So we know exactly. So we know George Washington Carver was Ford's flunky. You know, when he pat on the head. Remember, because George Washington Carver was adopted by white people who cut his dick off, who castrated him. Because they had white girls that said, you niggas not gonna be able to fuck our daughters. So they cut his dick off as a child. And so he had a high-pitched voice. So George Washington Carver was the creation of the plant. Remember, George Washington Carver told you he talked to plants, and plants talked back to him. That's how he got all these damn inventions from plants, all these remedies, herbs, right? Because black people through history can talk to plants. That's a fact. But they told you that's witchcraft. That's crazy talk. Because white people can't do it. Because you can do it, but they can't. So now you're conducting witchcraft. But it wasn't witchcraft because George Washington Carver was making Ford all this damn money because he showed them how to make cars fast as hell. And if you can make them fast, it means you can make more money. So that plant system came from George Washington. What is up, Joe? We said George Washington Carver. Say as Google to say George Washington Carver taught Henry Ford the plant ideal. The plant ideal. Because you never know. They try to tell somebody lies. Because even Henry Ford admitted it. Say George Washington Carver taught Henry Ford the ideal of the plant.
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, F-O-R-D, Ford. Henry Ford, the car Ford. F-O-R-D, Joe. Ford.
Mm-hmm. In school, okay. Saying George Washington Carver did not teach Henry Ford
did not
school setting, but Henry Ford built and named the George Washington Carver School in 1939 to educate African American children in Lower Bryan County, Georgia.
Oh, I don't know about that. So it's a nonsense. They don't want to admit history. The reason why you got something's called a plant, an industrial plant, that's because of George Washington Carver. And now, see, they want to change history. They don't want to give this man credit because remember, Ford never paid him nothing because Ford was a racist. But you can see, and Ford hated black people. So why did he have? Okay, put this up, Joe. Let's ask Google this. Say, did Henry Ford ask George Washington Carver to consult on anything? To consult on anything.
Henry Ford frequently consulted and collaborated with George Washington Carver.
Why would he collaborate with this old dirty nigga, Joby? He hate niggas.
On developing alternative industrial material from plants.
Well, of course. But they say he didn't teach him how to do industry, Joby. See, you just got to rephrase the question. They're always lying.
Including plant-based plastics, rubber substitutes, and paints derived from agricultural crops and soil.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joby.
Before the assembly line, a single Model T took over 12 hours to build. After Ford's innovation, one rolled off the line every 93 minutes. The price of a Model T dropped from around $850 to less than $300, putting automobile ownership within reach of ordinary working Americans for the first time. Ford's genius wasn't just mechanical, it was economic. He understood that if you paid workers enough to buy the products they were making, you created a self-sustaining cycle of production and consumption. In 1914, he shocked the business world by more than doubling the prevailing wage to $5 a day. It was heresy to his fellow industrialists, but it worked. Ford's workers became Ford's customers, and the template for the American middle class was born. This model, high wages, fueling high consumption, fueling high production, became the engine of American prosperity for the next half century. And when the greatest test of that engine came, it did not disappoint. When the United States entered the Second World War. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941, the country faced a staggering challenge. The Axis powers, Germany, Japan, and Italy, had spent years building up their military machines. The United States had been mired in the Great Depression for over a decade. Its military was small, poorly equipped, and spread thin. But what it had, what no other country on earth could match, was industrial capacity.
Manufacturing. Yep.
President
Now you
Franklin
can't.
Roosevelt had already.
That's why you can't beat China, because now you're manufacturing for war and bomb you gave to China. You gave the shit to China. So now you can't build the shit. That's why you can't go bomb Iran, because you can't manufacture the shit. You don't got it. It's hilarious. But go ahead, Joey.
Begun laying the groundwork. In a fireside chat on December 29th, 1940, he called on America to become the arsenal of democracy. And American industry answered in a way that still defies belief. Within 4 years, American factories produced over 300,000 aircraft, 86,000 tanks, 2.4 million trucks, 6.5 million rifles, and over 40 billion rounds of ammunition. The Ford Motor Company's Willow Run plant near Ypsilanti, Michigan, became the largest factory under one roof in the world, eventually producing one B-24 Liberator bomber every single hour at peak output. Chrysler built the Detroit tank arsenal.
Now remember the scam. See, it always comes deep with a scam. This is partially of the story. Remember, you're supposed to be fighting a war against Japan and Germany, right? That's why Joby told you looked up. America's what? Was giving technical and manufacturing power to Germany, who was the enemy. So that means the cats with the hats controlled America and Europe, and so they were getting paid off this war because they control what? Both sides, like they always do. Because Joby looked it up and showed that America was giving weapons and arms to who? To Germany. I thought Germany was our armed enemy and we're fighting a war. Oh, well, you're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to know it's the cats with the hats that control both countries and the war is fake. Everybody else is getting murdered and died and the cats are making all this money. You're not supposed to know that. That's not in your history books. Let's look this up again, Joe, real quick. Mm-hmm. Say, did American industrialists supply Germany with parts during World War II? Who's supposedly the enemy? They're supposed to be the enemy. Say, did American industrialists supply Germany with manufacturing? Well, you already got it last. I just want to pull up again. They already said yes. Ain't it funny? But yes. We're fighting a war. How are we fighting a war, Joby? I'm fighting a war with you. Me and you hate each other, but I'm giving you shit to beat me in this war, Joby.
Yeah.
22,000 tanks over the course of the war. General Motors converted its car lines to produce everything from machine guns to amphibious vehicles. Typewriter companies made rifles. Piano manufacturers built glider components. A lingerie company switched to producing mosquito netting for troops in the Pacific. By 1944, the United States was producing more war material than all of the Axis powers combined. It wasn't even close.
All the Axis powers were controlled by the cats with the hats, and so was America. So this is all fake. You know what's getting rich? The cats with the hats, because they control all America's industry, and they control the enemy's industry. Ain't that funny? Because we were giving the industry, we both were killing each other, and it was making money. The cats with the hats. That's not in your history book, though.
The Epstein class, literally the topic.
The
Epstein class, exactly.
86,000. And it didn't just equip its own forces. Through the Lend-Lease program, America supplied its allies with massive quantities of equipment. The Soviet Union received nearly 400,000 jeeps and trucks, 14,000 aircraft, and 7,000 tanks. Britain received aircraft, ships, and oil in quantities that kept its war effort alive through the darkest years. The war was won, in no small part, on the factory floors of Detroit, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Chicago. And when the fighting ended, those factories didn't shut down. They pivoted. They went from producing bombers to producing Buicks, from tanks to television sets, from rifles to refrigerators. And the result was the greatest economic expansion in human history. The post-war period, from roughly 1945 to 1973, is sometimes called the golden age of American capitalism, and for good reason. During these roughly 3 decades, the American economy grew at an average rate of nearly 4% per year. Real wages doubled. Home ownership soared. The GI Bill sent millions of veterans to college, creating a new professional class. And at the center of all of it was manufacturing. In the early 1950s, manufacturing accounted for roughly 32% of all non-farm employment in the United States. 1 out of every 3 working Americans made something with their hands, operated a machine, or managed the logistics of physical production. These weren't dead-end jobs, they were careers. A man with a high school diploma could walk into a steel mill or an auto plant, join a union, and earn enough to buy a house, raise a family, take a vacation, and retire with a pension. It wasn't glamorous work. It was hard, often dangerous and monotonous, but it paid. And it built the most prosperous middle class the world had ever seen. Cities like Detroit, Flint, Gary, Youngstown, Akron, and Pittsburgh weren't just industrial centers. They were ecosystems. A single auto plant or steel mill didn't just employ
which, if you remember the video we shared some time back last week, Detroit is one of the poorest states today. Literally, I think it was mentioned one among the
thousands of workers.
Hold on, Joey. Pause that. Just give me.
An entire
we're gonna ask this question too, because we're gonna see members all fighting in World War I and World War II. Who were they actually controlled by? Right? This is. So I want you to ask Google this, children. Say did the bankers? We know who the bankers are. Okay, cats with the hats. They control the fake money. Say, did the bankers of England, America, and Vienna, in that order, say the bankers of England, who are the same family, bankers of England, America, and Vienna, give money to overthrow the Tsar of Russia. And Tsar is going to be spelled C-Z-A-R, which was the king. Did they finance the overthrow of the Tsar of Russia? So then you're going to get, because all in World War II, you got the Soviet Union, who's supposed to be independent, which is not, we know it's controlled by the cats with the hats. America's supposed to be independent, which is not controlled by the cats with the hats. And then you got goddamn Germany, which is supposed to be independent with Hitler, but we know it's controlled by the cats with the hats, all behind the scenes. So let's see, what is Google saying, Joe?
No. Mainstream historians have found no credible evidence that international bankers from England, America, and Vienna financed the overthrow of the Russian Tsar Nicholas II. That was in February 1917. Revolution
now it's no. It used to be. See, Google, what you say yes 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, now let's see this. Let's ask this question, Joby. Say, was the majority of the Bolsheviks, who these are people call themselves who overthrew the Tsar. Say were the majority of the leadership of Russia. Was the majority of the leadership of Jewish faith?
Come again.
I'm trying to word it where Google won't lie. I'm trying to word it, Joey, so we get Google to fuck up, right? Because they're gonna let's say trying to word like let's say was the overwhelming power. Was the overwhelming power who overthrew Tsar Nicholas, like you say, Jewish? Let's ask that.
Was the overwhelming
power that overthrew Tsar Nicholas Jewish in nature? We know it was, but and when they say no, we're gonna mess them up with another thing. We'll ask this other question then.
Okay, so was the overwhelming power that overthrew Tsar Nicholas Jewish in nature, right?
That's the question, Joe. Let's see what they say.
No, the power.
See, they're trying to hide it. No, okay, go good. Let's go ahead. So what's it saying?
The power that overthrew Tsar Nicholas II was not Jewish in nature. It was a broad national uprising caused by military failures, economic collapse, and severe food shortages in Russia.
Okay, we know the reasons, but we don't know who was behind it. Okay, so put it like this. Okay, let's ask this question. Because we know it's a lie. So let's ask this question. Because say was Lenin, that'd be say Lenin, who became the first president after they killed Tsar Nicholas of Russia, Joe. Say was Lenin Jewish? Let's ask that question. Because
Lenin.
Lenin, yeah. Say was Lenin of Russia Jewish? So they would have never elected no Jewish person, and that's a Christian Orthodox country, Joby, at the time. So let's ask that question. They keep trying to lie to us.
Vladimir Lenin was not raised Jewish and identified as Russian, but a kind of record show that he had Jewish ancestral.
He was Jewish, Joby. They're trying to be slick. He had Jewish ancestry because they don't want you to know. Everybody knows that. Go ahead. So he said he had Jewish ancestry. Go ahead, Joe.
On the mother's side, especially the mother's side. Are you kidding me?
That means that you're a Jew. You only become a Jew, Joby, through the mother's side.
Yep.
And you can look that up. Ask Google it. We're gonna say yeah. So he was a Jew, Joby. So why would a Russian Orthodox, which is a Christian country, elect a Jew as their first president? If it wasn't the Jews that overthrew the Tsar. See, I don't want you to know this. It was okay. Let's ask this question, Joey. Say the Tsar Nicholas, as Google say the Tsar Nicholas II sent his gold because he was stupid. He was getting invaded by the. Say the Tsar Nicholas sent his gold to the Bank of London when he was being overthrown.
Tsar Nicholas II and his family personal wealth or gold reserves were not sent to London during his overthrow in 1917 Russian Revolution.
Wow. Same thing, because they stole his money. They stole they didn't know. Well, where is gold going? Everybody knows he sent that gold to the Rothschilds. Everybody knows that. But now, okay, where's it saying they went his gold? They're not probably saying, what they saying, Joby? They say, I don't know where's gold went at?
They're saying what happened to the wealth is that
exactly.
we had asylum refusal. The British government initially offered asylum to Nicholas II after his abdication. King George V panicked and pressured Parliament to withdraw the invitation because he had the revolutionary fallout and domestic instability. They're also talking about nationalization. After the October Revolution in 1917, the personal money, valuables, and jewels of the Romanov family.
Yeah, Romanov, exactly. But yeah, go ahead. That's the last name, Joe. They were the Romanovs.
Were nationalized by the
the Bolsheviks. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was going to ask you. Were the Bolsheviks Jews? Yeah, the Bolsheviks. That's what they called themselves who took over Russia and then named it the Soviet Union. Right? So nationalize it, but his gold was never found, Joby.
Exactly.
They never got that gold. That gold went straight to that. Because you okay? Ask this question, Joby. Say, was Tsar Nicholas and the King of England at that time, were they cousins? Because he helped the Rothschilds overthrow his cousin. Say, were they cousins, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. So he helped overthrow his own cousin, Joe. They were cousins, Joe. King of England and the King of Russia were cousins, Joe. But he didn't run England. The Rothschilds did. And the Rothschilds wanted Russia. Because Russia, the king of Russia, refused to do what, Joby? Put a Rothschild bank in Russia and let them control their what? Their currency. So they overthrew his ass. Since the fake king of England, he didn't run no England. He ran his mouth, but the Rothschilds ran England, not him. So, go ahead, Joe. You go continue. Yeah. So we got to put all this history that they won't teach you, so everybody understand what's actually going on. And you keep seeing the one hand of the Rothschilds over and over, and they never come up in nobody's news. Nobody know them. Everybody say no, it ain't the Rothschilds. No, it's not them. Remember, they're always in the shadows. Go ahead, Joe.
Smaller businesses, part suppliers, tool and die shops, trucking firms, diners, barbershops, grocery stores, schools, and churches. When the plant thrived, the whole city thrived. The tax base was strong. The schools were funded, the roads were paved, the neighborhoods were alive, and then slowly at first, and then all at once, it started to come apart. The unraveling of American manufacturing is not a single event. It's a process that played out over decades, driven by a convergence of forces that, taken together, represent one of the most consequential economic transformations in modern history. And while the conventional story blames technology and globalization, the real story is far more complicated and far more damning. The first cracks appeared in the 1970s. The decade began with a collapse of the Bretton Woods system in 1971, when President Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. This ended the fixed exchange rate system that had governed international trade since the end of the Second World War, and it introduced a new era of currency volatility that made long-term industrial planning far more difficult. Then came the oil shocks. In 1973, the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries imposed an embargo on the United States in retaliation for its support of Israel during the Yom Kippur War. Oil prices quadrupled almost overnight, and the American economy, which had been built on the assumption of cheap and abundant energy, was thrown into chaos. Factories that ran on oil and petrochemicals saw their costs explode. Consumers who drove gas-guzzling American cars suddenly found themselves waiting in line for hours at gas stations. And for the first time, foreign automakers, particularly the Japanese, began to make serious inroads into the American market with smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles.
Cars.
But the oil crisis, as painful as it was really just a symptom of a deeper structural problem. American industry had grown complacent. After decades of dominance with no serious foreign competition, many of the country's largest manufacturers had stopped innovating. Their factories were aging. Their management practices were bloated and bureaucratic. Their unions, once a force for worker dignity, had in some cases become obstacles to flexibility and modernization. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, Japan was rebuilding. With American help in the post-war period, Japan had developed a manufacturing sector that was lean, efficient, and obsessively focused on quality. Companies like Toyota, Honda, and Sony weren't just making cheaper products, they were making better ones. Toyota's production system, with its emphasis on continuous improvement and just-in-time manufacturing, became the gold standard for industrial efficiency. American automakers, comfortable in their dominance, were slow to respond, and they paid dearly for it. By the late 1970s, the United States was losing market share in industry after industry, from automobiles to electronics to steel. And the political response to this decline would set the stage for everything that followed. The election of Ronald Reagan in 1980 marked a philosophical turning point in American economic policy. Reagan and his advisors championed a vision of the economy that prioritized deregulation, tax cuts, free trade, and the primacy of financial markets. The idea, rooted in the theories of economists like Milton Friedman, was that the government's role in the economy should be minimized, and that the free market, left to its own devices, would allocate resources more efficiently than any central planner ever could. In practice, this meant a dramatic shift in how America thought about its own industrial base. Under the old model, the one that had prevailed from the New Deal through the post-war era, manufacturing was seen as a strategic national asset. It was the thing that won wars, built the middle class, and generated the wealth that funded everything else. But under the new model, manufacturing was just another sector. If it couldn't compete on cost with factories in Taiwan or Mexico, then it should be allowed to decline, and the workers it displaced should be retrained for new jobs in the service economy. This was the intellectual framework that made deindustrialization possible. It didn't happen by accident. It was a policy choice made by people who believed, or at least claimed to believe, that the invisible hand of the market would take care of everything. And then came the trade deals. The North American Free Trade Agreement, better known as NAFTA, was signed into law by President Bill Clinton in 1993 and took effect on January 1st, 1994. It eliminated most tariffs and trade barriers between the United States, Canada, and Mexico, creating what was then the world's largest free trade zone. Proponents promised it would create jobs, boost exports, and raise living standards in all three countries. President Clinton himself declared that NAFTA would mean more jobs, more exports, and more growth for America. It did not work out that way, at least not for the people who made things for a living. At the heart of NAFTA were provisions that made it cheaper and less risky for American corporations to move production to Mexico, where wages were a fraction of what they were in the United States. The agreement included investor protections that eliminated many of the risks that had previously made companies think twice about relocating. And relocate they did. According to the Economic Policy Institute, NAFTA directly caused the loss of roughly 700,000 American jobs as production shifted south of the border. Most of these losses hit hardest in California, Texas, Michigan, and other states where manufacturing was concentrated. The vast majority of workers who lost their jobs suffered a permanent loss of income. They didn't get retrained for better jobs in the new economy. They got lower paying work in the service sector, if they got work at all. But NAFTA was really just the warm-up act. The main event came on December 11th, 2001, when China officially joined the World Trade Organization. And what followed was a catastrophe for American manufacturing that economists now simply call the China shock. The story of how China entered the WTO is, in itself, a remarkable tale of geopolitical calculation. The Clinton administration had championed China's entry, arguing that integrating China into the global trading system would liberalize its economy, open its markets to American goods, and eventually promote political reform. Congress voted in 2000 to grant China permanent normal trade relations, cementing for Chinese imports the lower tariff rates that the United States applied to almost all other nations. What nobody in Washington publicly acknowledged, or perhaps even fully understood, was the scale of what was about to happen. China was not a normal trading partner. It was a continental economy with over 1 billion people, many of whom were willing to work for wages that were a tiny fraction of what American workers earned. Its government subsidized key industries, manipulated its currency to keep exports cheap, and enforced virtually no environmental or labor regulations. When the floodgates opened, the result was an avalanche of cheap imports that hit American manufacturing like a tidal wave. The numbers are staggering. Between 2000 and 2010, the United States lost approximately 5.7 million manufacturing jobs, a decline of roughly 33%. Manufacturing employment, which had peaked at 19.6 million in June of 1979, plunged to a low of about 11.5 million by 2010. Entire industries were effectively wiped out. Apparel manufacturing, which had employed roughly 900,000 Americans in the 1970s, collapsed to around 70,000. Textile mills saw an 85% decline. Furniture, toys, electronics assembly, the list goes on and on. The landmark research on this phenomenon was published in 2013 by economists David Autor, David Dorn, and Gordon Hanson. Their paper found that the increase in imports from China accounted for a massive share of the decline in American manufacturing employment between 2000 and 2007, translating to a reduction of nearly 1 million manufacturing jobs in their most conservative estimates. Subsequent research pushed that number even higher, with some studies estimating total job losses attributable to Chinese import competition at between 2 and 2.4 million. But the China shock wasn't just about lost jobs, it was about lost communities. And this is where the human cost of deindustrialization becomes almost unbearable to look at directly. The cities and towns that had been built around manufacturing didn't just lose factories, they lost everything. When the plant closed, the parts suppliers closed, the trucking companies laid off drivers, the diners and barbershops lost their customers. The tax base evaporated, which meant the schools couldn't afford teachers, the police department couldn't afford officers, and the roads started to crumble. Young people left because there was nothing to stay for. The people who remained were, by and large, the ones who couldn't leave. The elderly, the disabled, the deeply rooted, the stubbornly hopeful. And then came the despair. Take Flint, Michigan. In 1978, General Motors employed roughly 80,000 people in the city and its surrounding area. By 2010, that number had fallen to fewer than 8,000. The city's population peaked at nearly 197,000 in 1960 and has since fallen to well under 100,000. The poverty rate hovers around 34%. And of course, Flint became globally infamous for its water crisis, when cost-cutting measures led to lead contamination of the city's drinking water, a disaster that would never have happened in a city with a functioning tax base and properly funded infrastructure. Or take Gary, Indiana. Built in 1906 by United States Steel as a company town, Gary was once a roaring center of steel production. At its peak, the city was home to over 170,000 people. Today, the population is below 70,000. The downtown is virtually deserted. Tens of thousands of buildings sit abandoned. The poverty rate is among the highest in the nation. Crime has been a persistent crisis for decades. Or take Youngstown, Ohio. When the Youngstown Sheet and Tube Company's Campbell Works closed on September 19th, 1977, a date locals call Black Monday, it set off a chain reaction that destroyed the city's economy. Over the following decade, Youngstown lost roughly 50,000 manufacturing jobs. Today, the city leads the nation in concentrated poverty. Entire neighborhoods have been bulldozed because there simply aren't enough people left to justify maintaining them. Detroit's story is perhaps the most dramatic of all. The city that was once the automobile capital of the world, the city that built the arsenal of democracy, the city whose population peaked at 1.85 million in 1950, has lost over 60% of its residents. By 2013, Detroit became the largest American city ever to file for bankruptcy. Over half of the housing units in primarily black neighborhoods had vanished since 1970. Whole blocks looked like war zones with abandoned homes, overgrown lots, and crumbling infrastructure stretching in every direction. And the human toll went far beyond economics. Researchers began documenting a sharp increase in what they called deaths of despair, deaths from alcoholism, drug overdose, and suicide, concentrated overwhelmingly among the white working class in communities that had borne the brunt of manufacturing job losses. These weren't just statistics. They were fathers who drank themselves to death after the plant closed. They were mothers who got hooked on painkillers prescribed for injuries sustained on factory floors that no longer existed. They were young men who saw no future and ended their lives. Deindustrialization didn't just destroy an economy, it destroyed a social fabric. The churches emptied out. The Little League teams disbanded. The volunteer fire departments couldn't find volunteers. The civic organizations that had once held communities together, the Elks Lodges, the VFW posts, the bowling leagues, they all withered as the people who sustained them either left or gave up. What remained was a landscape of abandonment, both physical and spiritual. Now, the defenders of globalization will point out, correctly, that American manufacturing output has actually continued to rise even as employment has fallen. Thanks to automation, robotics, and more efficient production methods, American factories today produce far more goods, measured by dollar value, than they did in the 1970s. The United States remains the world's second or third largest manufacturer by output, depending on how you measure it. And this is true. But it misses the point entirely that the value of American manufacturing was never just about the dollar amount of goods produced. It was about the ecosystem it sustained. It was about the millions of families who depended on it. It was about the tax revenues it generated for cities and states. It was about the sense of purpose and dignity it gave to people who might not have college degrees, but who could build a car or pour steel or wire an engine. When you hollow out that ecosystem and replace it with automated facilities that employ a fraction of the people, you might maintain your GDP numbers, but you destroy the social contract that held the country together. And this is where the story takes its darkest turn, because the destruction of American manufacturing wasn't just the inevitable result of market forces or technological progress. It was, in large part, a deliberate strategy pursued by corporate executives, financial engineers, and the politicians who served their interests. Starting in the 1980s, a new philosophy took hold on Wall Street and in corporate boardrooms across America. It was called shareholder value theory, and its basic premise was simple. The sole purpose of a corporation was to maximize returns for its shareholders. Everything else, worker welfare, community stability, long-term investment, national interest, was secondary. If moving production to a country where wages were 1/10 of American levels would boost quarterly earnings and raise the stock price, then that was what you did. Period. This philosophy was turbocharged by the rise of private equity and leveraged buyouts. Financial firms would acquire manufacturing companies, load them up with debt, strip out their assets, slash their workforce, and then sell them off or take them public at a profit. The factories were treated not as productive enterprises that supported communities, but as financial instruments to be optimized and discarded. Workers were not people with families and mortgages. They were line items on a balance sheet to be minimized. The tax code incentivized all of it. American corporations could defer taxes on profits earned overseas indefinitely, creating a powerful incentive to move production abroad and keep the profits there. Meanwhile, the cost of lobbying politicians to maintain these loopholes was trivial compared to the savings from offshore production. It was a system designed, whether intentionally or not, to reward the destruction of American industrial capacity. The result was a massive transfer of wealth. Between 1979 and the present, the American economy grew enormously. Productivity soared, corporate profits reached record levels, the stock market climbed to heights that would have been unimaginable a generation earlier. But almost all of those gains went to the top. The workers who had once shared the prosperity of the industrial economy were left behind.
That's right. Everybody got poor, but the cats in the hats who run the finance, which is the banks, right? So everybody got poor. So they purposely bled the country to its death. Means they stole all the money from the bottom and took it to the top. So they made everybody impoverished. Go ahead, Joe.
Their wages stagnant, their benefits eroded, their communities hollowed out.
That's
And
right.
here's the part
Nobody
that
got
should
no
make your
wages
blood run
stagnant.
cold. People who made these decisions knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that moving production overseas would
I'm going to
devastate
say that.
American communities.
Exactly. Pause
They
that,
knew
pause
that
that.
workers
They knew exactly what they were doing. I'm sure they knew. Remember, they control all the media. So you were propagandized to say that was good, but starting with old racist ass Reagan. And that's what they still love him today, right? So you were propagandized to believe this nonsense because they control all the media.
displaced from
Either one.
manufacturing would
Same
struggle
thing.
to find comparable employment. They knew that the social safety net was inadequate to catch the millions who would fall, and they did it anyway, because the incentives pointed that way, because the quarterly numbers demanded it, because Wall Street rewarded it. There's a phrase that economists use to describe this phenomenon. They call it the race to the bottom. When companies can move production anywhere in the world, they naturally gravitate to wherever labor is cheapest, regulations are weakest, and environmental standards are lowest. Countries compete with each other to offer the most favorable terms, cutting wages, weakening unions, relaxing pollution controls. And the losers in this race are always the workers in the countries
Always the workers and the
highest
regular
standards
people.
to begin with.
Exactly. So now what you see, they bombed this out, right? And now they're gonna start doing this to China too, because China's got lifted out of poverty, and they can't offer those same wages. But see, they could have took this to Africa, because Africa had the resources, and you could pay people little to nothing back then. Hell, Africans living off $2 a day. You pay a goofy African, hey, we're gonna pay you $5 a day. Holy shit! So they could have built all this shit in Africa, but they still wanted to keep their racial hierarchy of white on top and black on the bottom. But now it's destroyed because, like I said, they what they did, they destroyed their economic base, and they destroyed, and also they destroyed. That's why I believe China is no accident, because they also destroyed what the military base, but American cannot make weapons. That's why That's why they're losing to Iran. We can't make weapons. We don't have an industrial base. That's what Iran is saying. You can't bomb us. You can't make no weapons. You don't got any base to make weapons, which is true, right? And just like Europe, before they hollowed out America, they also hollowed out Europe. That's why I told you Europe is done. Europe has no manufacturing base. And unlike Africa, Europe don't have no minerals, no resources, no nothing. So Europe is done. They're done. You're living in Europe now, I would advise you to get the hell out of there. You're done. You don't have any farmland. You don't make shit. Your money's gonna start to become garbage. So if all you goofy Negroes that ran to Europe, listen to me. You better run back to Africa within the next 4 to 5 years. You better do it, because Europe is facing civil war, because they're gonna figure out why they impoverished, why they more poor than Africa now. That's coming. That's coming also here in America. I tried to teach you guys. You got civil unrest, because remember, the white people who supported these wicked ass things because of racism, because they were taught all these lies through propaganda and racism, they couldn't quickly think that they got their whole economy stripped out from under them, and that's why you see them crying in the court. Is anything supposed to be this hard? Why we can't pay bills? Because of 40 years ago, they took your industrial base away, and you voted for this shit because they based it in racism. And you're easy propagandized too. Keep that open, Joby. I want you to put us up in another YouTube thing. Put us up. Say billionaire Ross, Ross Perot. I need Jibba Jabba in. I spell Perot. Pierre. Jibba knows how to spell this. I can read. I never can spell French names right. Say billionaire Ross P. It probably start typing it for yourself. Right? Ross Perot. So yeah, is it okay? Perot. Here you go. Say Perot. Ross Perot said. Say Ross Perot says there's going to be a big sucking sound coming out of America. See, you talking about these laws. If you pass these laws, you tell you're going to destroy America.
It's going
He
to be
told you that. Say a giant. My father say a giant. Say Ross Perot says there's going to be a giant sucking sound. He's talking about the jobs leaving America. If you pass these laws that Clinton, because he knows they were passed by the cats with the hats. Just let him say it. And everybody say, remember, they made you think Ross Perot's a racist. Remember, the media tore his ass up. And he's a billionaire. But he's not. He's not a trillionaire like the Rothschild. Oh, no, wait, Joe. Yeah, he's not a trillionaire like the people that run this world. But he was a billionaire. And they trashed his ass. Because they know a lot of y'all was stupid. And everything he said was true. He said, you can't move all these jobs overseas. You'll destroy the country. But they control the media, and they gave you punk ass Bill Clinton after Reagan and first Daddy Bush, the first Bush. They wanted to keep with the destruction of the country. Ross Perot said, we got to stop all this shit because in a few years we're going to be broke and fucked up, which we are now. But all the propaganda went against Ross Perot because he didn't have enough money to own all these damn news agencies. He's only a billionaire. Billionaires don't buy you a bunch of news companies like CNN, Fox News, and all this other shit. We're talking about trillions of dollars. He's just some low-budget billionaire. And they destroyed his ass. Go ahead, Joby.
The candidates will have an opportunity to make a closing statement.
And that's who I voted for, Ross Perot. You guys want to know who I voted for? And I voted for Ross Perot. I voted for his ass because I knew even then what the hell was going on. But most people didn't because most people are stupid. But go ahead, Joe.
I think you said it earlier. Let's get it on.
Let's go.
And I think the first
Daddy
president
Bush.
is over here.
I remember Daddy Bush was over there fucking black boys in the butt and then killing them and throwing them off planes, right? Daddy Bush. That's George Bush's daddy. That's George Bush Sr. He was president then. They about to put their other puppet in there, Bill Clinton. So Daddy Bush he already knew they was only going to let him be president one time because he didn't want to be president again. Remember, he's part of the whole scam. But go ahead, Joby.
I'd like to direct my question to Mr. Perot. What will you do as president to open foreign markets to fair competition from American business and to stop unfair competition here at home from foreign countries so that we can bring jobs back to the United States?
And they know they were giving it. And see, and they all knew.
Right,
pause it. See, Bush on the side and Clinton, they both knew they were giving those jobs. Like the guy told you the thing. They knew this was going to happen. But they knew the American people were too stupid to know that they were being that the country was being hollowed out and taken into poverty. Ross Perot was the only honest actor in this. George Bush, who's controlled by Rothschild money, easily proven, and so is Bill Clinton, who is a Rockefeller. Ain't that funny? They're both part of these families with these fake names, Clinton and Bush. Ain't that funny? Only real actor you got here was the billionaire, Ross Perot. That's why they destroyed his ass. Go ahead, Joby.
We've shipped millions of jobs overseas,
Yep.
and we have a strange situation because we have a process in Washington where after you've served for a while, you cash in, become a foreign lobbyist, make $30,000 a month, then take a leave, work on presidential campaigns, make sure you got good contacts, and then go back out.
He said, I correct that. See, he telling the truth. He said that all these Congress people bought and paid for, they come back and they just steal money and they give it to the cats with the hats. They paid by them and then all the jobs are gone. He's telling you right there. And look at Bush and Clinton fake ass. Looking crazy like they don't know. Remember, they're in on the scam. These fake presidents, they're in on the scam. They know the fuck is going on. Like Joby's documentary told you. They know what the fuck was going on. But they were giving you propaganda so they can strip you of your wealth and leave you impoverished. Now white people and black people, oh, it's so hard, I can't make it. What's going on? I can't make it. Because of this shit. Go ahead, Joe.
Folks who've got these one-way trade agreements that we've negotiated over the years and say, fellas, we'll take the same deal we gave you. And they'll gridlock right at that point because For example, we've got international competitors who simply could not unload their cars off the ships if they had to comply. You see, if it was a two-way street, just couldn't do it. We have got to stop sending jobs overseas. To those of you in the audience who are business people, pretty simple. If you're paying $12, $13, $14 an hour for factory workers,
he told you this is 35, no, that'd be 34, yeah, 35 years ago. It's not doing, it's 35 years ago he told you that. 35 years ago! But they made him a clown, they destroyed his ass, everybody was laughing at him. Everything he told you was right, that you're gonna implode the country, and you're gonna make poverty, you're gonna make America impoverished. And America's now impoverished. The people are impoverished. Not the Epstein class, they got all the money. Because they impoverished your ass. Sent everything to China. Not the Epstein class with our fucking babies and eating them and shit. That's who designed this, the Epstein class. Go ahead, Joby.
Pay $1 an hour for labor, hire a young 25, that's assuming you've been in business for a long time, you've got a mature workforce. Pay $1 an hour for your labor, have no health care, that's the most expensive single element, making a car, have no environmental controls, no pollution controls.
We still don't got health care today. Everybody, we still don't got health care today. Still arguing about the same shit because they're never going to give it to you. See the scam? That's why they never want to actually teach you anything. They want to keep giving you propaganda. They never brought up no fucking Ross Perot since they destroyed his ass. They want to bring his ass up. Say, but damn, Ross Perot was saying this 35 years ago. Yeah, stupid. Go ahead, Joby.
And you don't care about anything but making money, there will be a giant sucking sound going south. So if the people send me to Washington, the first thing I'll do is study that 2,000-page agreement and make sure it's a two-way street. One last point here. I decided I was dumb and didn't understand it, so I called a who's who of the folks who've been around it. And I said, why won't everybody go south? They said, we'll be disruptive. I said, for how long? I finally got them up for 12 to 15 years. And I said, well, how does it stop being disruptive? And that is when their jobs come up from $1 an hour to $6 an hour and ours go down to $6 an hour, then it's leveled again. But in the meantime, you've wrecked the country with these kinds of deals. We've got to cut it out.
Thank you, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
He told you right there, you wrecked the country with these kind of deals. But what did they do? They destroyed his ass. They made him a laughing stock. They said he's a nut. Then they said Ross Perot's a nut. He's a wacko. He's crazy. He's a nut. And they trashed his ass. They drug his ass through the mud. And it's funny, everything he said was true. Said you'll destroy the country, you'll trash the country. And now, no one ever argued 36 years later that the crazy one they said was a nut was absolutely right. The country's been hollowed out and trashed. That's a fact. And it was the Epstein crowd that did it. They controlled everything, but we know that they controlled all the media, and all these fake-ass presidents, all this fake-ass theater. This is kabuki theater we're looking. Only one real there is Ross Perot. Bill Clinton's going to become president, and George Bush is president. They're on the take. They're controlled by the Epstein class. They're part of the Epstein class themselves. See, stinking ass Daddy Bush died in 2017, 2018. But racist ass Clinton, no good ass is still around. He been on the Epstein Island how many times? 500 times? Do we know? How many times his ass been on the Epstein thing? Epstein Island. So this is literally the Epstein cats, right? And Ross Perot's a little goofy billionaire from Houston, right? He's just a goofy billionaire because you think that's a lot of money. And it ain't. Not for the people that run the world. Some goofy billionaire. We're going to trash his ass and drag his ass. And that's what they did. That's why Ross Perot never resurfaced. They destroyed his ass. Get your goofy ass. Remember, because he had enough money to promote his own campaign. That's what made him dead, because he was a billionaire. He can promote it. He had the money they had. They own all the media. But they trashed his ass. Drug his ass. Called him a nut. Crazy. They made commercials about his ass being nutty and a wacko. After they trashed his ass, you ain't seen his ass no more. I ain't know when this old motherfucker died. They didn't even mention that, crazy motherfucker Ross Perot died. They didn't announce his ass on the news when his ass died. But they destroyed his ass. The Epstein class destroyed his ass. You don't got the right to tell people the truth what we're doing, that we're hollowing out the country. He told us 35 years ago. And he was made to look like a nut. Anybody that was alive, at least a teenager or in the early 20s like me, yeah, I know they made him a nut. Yeah, a nut. He's crazy. He's crazy. That's nut. This wacko. He needs to be in an insane asylum. He's some kind of a nut, right? He's a weirdo. He's a nutcase. This nut, right? And everybody was like, man, I can't vote. And I remember people saying this, man, I can't vote for no Ross Perot. He a nut. That's how you know propaganda is real. I heard people, man, that Ross Perot is nutty. Whoever was alive, you was a teenager, your late teens, early 20s like me, you know you heard that. Man, that Ross Perot, his ideas sound good, but man, that motherfucker nutty. That motherfucker crazy. Tell me you didn't hear that. That Ross Perot crazy. He's motherfucking nuts. Because that's what the media told you. That's called propaganda and framing a narrative. The Epstein class told you he was a nut. He's not to be taken seriously. You can't take this nut crazy. He's crazy. You vote for Ross Perot, he's a nut. Everybody said, man, Perot sounds like he making sense, but man, that Perot is a nut. like what? Who said that? Yeah, man, that motherfucker a nut. That's how you know, like Joby just told you, more brainwashing is real. That's how they wash your brain. That's why they need to control all your news. Remember, we didn't have social media then. They control all your social media. They need to control all avenues of information. Or they'll shadow ban you or shut you down. Because they need to brainwash you. And Ross Perot told you this. He told you there's going to be a sucking sound coming from the United States, which all your jobs are going to be sucked in. Because at first they were sending to Mexico. They said, fuck Mexico, send that shit to China. Because we already decided back under Nixon before Reagan that we were going to send all the jobs to China anyway, right? He said it's going to be a great sucking sound, and you're going to hollow out the country if you do this. He's a nut. He's crazy. He's a nut. He's a no good, dirty nut. He's a nut. Remember, they're so ingenious. When you do propaganda, if you guys do propaganda, you use the best thing. Okay, it's like you destroy somebody, right? Okay, you would say Joby is pretty, right? She's beautiful, intelligent. So you would use her biggest achievement against her ass. That's how you do propaganda, how you destroy somebody. Because Joby's pretty, right, and smart. Say, who this pretty, smart motherfucker thinks? You think she's better than everybody? How dare her? You think because she's pretty, she can open her mouth and run her mouth? And people like, yeah, who does she think she is? She ain't the only pretty one, got no shit. They always put your strongest attribute against you. Remember, that's how you do propaganda. You put the person's strongest, and Karl Rove talked about that. You put the person's strongest attribute and use that against them. You don't use the weakest attribute because people are like, it's not that. No, you put the strongest attribute and you turn it against them. Yeah, who's she? I heard her talking about she's the prettiest thing in the world. Who the fuck she thinks she is? Right? So use the strongest attributes again. Then talking about how smart she is. She don't know shit. Right? So that's what they did against Ross Perot. His strongest attribute was he was a self-made billionaire. He grew up poor and became a real billionaire for real. So they used that against him. He said, how's some billionaire gonna talk about what happens to poor people and people with regular jobs? He don't know nobody with a regular job. He's a billionaire. What does he know about poverty and being and talking about working class people? Ain't he a billionaire? What does he got to do with working class people? So they use his greatest attribute against them. And people are like, yeah, Ross Perot don't know shit. He's a goddamn billionaire, right? And so that's what they used against him to destroy him. You take somebody's greatest attribute and you turn that against them if you want to destroy him, right? So you had openly that was Karl Rove. Karl Rove openly told you that's how you do it. That's how you run propaganda. You take somebody's greatest attribute, what people admire people about. Say, oh, Joby's pretty. She's smart too. And you take that and you fuck her up with it. You bash her in the head with it.
Try me
right
now. I will bash your head instead. Yeah, try me right now.
Go ahead, Joe. Go back to your video real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I thought you're gonna just pick it up from the Epstein.
Oh yeah, well
it's
yeah.
The same thing. It's just explaining, I think, the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah. I was gonna use some. Oh, it's gone. They took it down. I was gonna show the video when they were showing Reagan and Bush, Daddy Bush, right there showing how they had the Nebraska thing. You guys remember the Nebraska thing when they were raping children? They took it down off of TikTok. I see it, but they put it in a cartoon form. You know, everybody using these cartoons now. So that Reagan and Bush, who were involved before Epstein of raping children. Actually, I was gonna have it sent it to Joby, but they took it down. I knew they was gonna take that shit down. It was called the Nebraska thing. Go ahead, Joe.
Trade agreements that America championed, NAFTA, the WTO framework, countless bilateral deals, were not neutral instruments of free commerce. They were designed with specific provisions that protected the interests of investors and corporations while offering virtually no protections for workers or communities. They included enforceable rules on intellectual property, investment protections, and capital mobility. But the labor and environmental provisions were weak, unenforceable, or simply absent. And the intellectual class that supported these agreements, the economists, the editorial boards, the think tank scholars, they provided the rhetorical cover. They told the public that free trade was always and everywhere beneficial, that any losses would be temporary and would be offset by gains elsewhere in the economy, that the workers who lost their jobs in Ohio and Michigan would be retrained for new, better jobs in the knowledge economy. The process was as natural and inevitable as the changing of the seasons. They were wrong, or they were lying, or perhaps
they were lying. They weren't wrong. They were lying.
Retraining programs were a cruel joke. Study after study showed that the vast majority of displaced manufacturing workers never found jobs that paid anywhere close to what they had earned before.
Never were.
The Trade Adjustment Assistance Program, the main federal program designed to help workers hurt by trade, was chronically underfunded and reached only a fraction of those affected. Many workers simply dropped out of the labor force entirely. They went on disability, they turned to drugs or alcohol. They died younger than they should have.
Young, of course. They were
the wealth
in despair.
that was being extracted from American communities was being concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. The CEO to worker pay ratio, which had been roughly 20 to 1 in 1965, exploded to over 300 to 1 by the 2000s. The financial sector, which produced nothing tangible, consumed an ever larger share of the economy's profits. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, which had been at roughly 1,000 in 1980, surpassed 10,000 by 1999 and would eventually cross 30,000. But for the bottom half of the income distribution, real wages had barely budged in 40 years. This is not a story about inevitable progress. This is a story about choices. Choices made by people with names and addresses, people who sat in corner offices and legislative chambers and made decisions that enriched themselves and their shareholders at the expense of millions of their fellow citizens. And it didn't have to be this way. Other countries faced the same pressures of globalization and technological change and made very different choices. Germany, for instance, maintained its manufacturing base by investing heavily in workforce training, supporting small and medium-sized manufacturers through regional development banks, and maintaining a strong currency that forced its industries to compete on quality rather than cost. Today, Germany remains one of the world's leading exporters of manufactured goods, and its manufacturing sector still employs a significantly larger share of its workforce than America's does. South Korea made massive state-led investments in strategic industries.
All right, Joe, but that's enough of that video. That's enough of that video. Play the last 3 videos I just sent you. Then we're going to talk about the Epstein thing real quick. I said, so problem is also that they also fund the coon class and black people globally in America, the Caribbean, and in Africa. They also fund the whole coon. The Epstein class funds a whole coon class that work against black people's interests to make sure we stay on the bottom and fucked up. So it's a whole this rotten ass thing. We're gonna play these videos though, just because it's funny. I meant to have Joey play them Monday, but I forgot. The one with the Reagan there, one with Reagan there, they took it down. Mm-hmm. The one with Reagan and Bush, they took down. It was funny as hell though. Somebody putting a cartoon on them. Hey, we got a problem, guys. So you got Reagan and Bush sitting in the White House. What's going on? What's happening? They just found out the black guy and the kids in Nebraska. Oh shit! You got Reagan say, "Oh shit!" But go ahead, Joey. You gotta share your screen. You gotta share your screen, Joe.
They call what you did.
You gotta take it down, Sherry. You got your other video still up. You gotta take that one down. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Talking about giving you 5 years. Oh, you coon. Here we go.
Double click. TikTok.
Yeah. There you go. That's it.
5 years.
The coon, Kevin Hart.
They call what you did.
Mutiny, boy.
See, the black race can't afford you no more.
We can't afford you no more, cooning.
Oh, there used to be a time we'd see somebody like you singing, clowning,
dancing, Boston,
and we wouldn't do anything.
We wouldn't do nothing to you. We wouldn't kill you.
You
was a good home. You were good homie. Bring you out. We want to be abused.
Needed somebody to mistreat. Call a name or two.
Start from the beginning. They got Judge Joe Brown. Start from the beginning, Joey. Start again. Sorry about that. Start again. So we can see everybody. They got Judge Joe Brown.
They're talking about giving you 5 years.
You coon ass niggas. Yassa Boston. You stop Yassa Boston, Joey.
Mutiny, boy. See,
Cornel West
can't afford
coon ass. Black race can't afford you no more.
Oh, there used to be a time we'd see somebody like you singing, clowning, Yassa Boston.
Yassa Boston.
Anything.
Wouldn't do nothing to you.
Folks like that.
Like that. He's good homie kind of nigga.
You were good. Homie kind of nigga.
Homie kind of nigga.
When they needed somebody to mistreat, call a
mistreat
name
or name or
they
abuse.
You.
Bring your ass out.
Reminded them of the good old
days.
Not no more.
Not no more, nigga.
We can't let nobody go on believing we all fools like you.
We all fools. That a coonish infant.
It's a long time for you,
boy.
For you, boy. Now I got you.
I got you, nigga.
One less fool for the race to be ashamed.
Less fool.
Unaishi wapi na wazazi wangu? Wazazi wako wanaishi wapi na mimi? Nyinyi wote mnaishi.
Go to the next one, Joey. One more fool to be worried about. Got you, nigga. What you laughing about? What you laughing about, Joey?
The AI videos in Swahili are just so crazy, especially from Kenya. They're just crazy.
Okay.
It's crazy. Hold on.
Well, you got to explain them because we can't speak Swahili shit. Come and share the fun.
Yo, wait for spikes.
Everybody's cooning. We're just cooning. They on top of they got their butter biscuit. Weird. Yeah. I got my money for masters, cooning. They got them over with big old butter biscuit. In slavery, when you told on people, Joe, they give you a butter biscuit. Hey.
Crazy. We have the last one.
The last one. That's right. Same thing, but different people. They got a bunch of them with different people. They got one. I couldn't find one with Candace Owens and the other one. But go ahead, Joe. They just said, "I'm gonna give you 5 years, boy." Naming all our coons.
They're talking about giving you
And
5
Snoop
years.
Dogg, coon ass. Ice Cube, coon ass.
They call what you did.
Guilty,
Guilty,
boy.
boy.
Her coon ass.
Crazy.
Where's your coons no more? Ah.
Singing.
What they said, coon ass?
You would.
Raise your ass up. Not no more.
We can't let nobody go on believing we all fools like you.
Nelly ass.
Waited
Jay-Z,
a
coon ass.
long time for you,
Wait,
boy.
long time for you,
Now
boy.
I got you.
Michael Jordan, coon. Michael Jordan's the biggest
One
coon of
less
all.
fool for the
That
rest
coon
to be
ass
ashamed
nigga.
of.
If you guys are buying Jordan shoes, you need to get beat by that fucking. You need to be beat in the head. That fucking open ass coon. He been a coon along. He been a coon ever since. Shit, probably since his mom and daddy made his coon ass.
And let me go through the comments
Yeah,
as
yeah,
we
go ahead.
continue. That's winding up. I see. Shout out to everyone on the chat today. Hope you guys are doing great. Jaraki was saying, what are the schedule times for the broadcast? We start at depends, I think, on which state you are in. I don't know which you guys timeline.
Okay. Let's see.
My time.
It's 8 p.m. Joby's time. So that's if you're on the East Coast, it'll be East Coast time. That's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're in Central time, that's 12 o'clock noon. If you're in Mountain time, that's 11 o'clock. And if you're in Pacific time over there with Jason out there in California, that's 10 o'clock, right? That's 10, yeah, 10 o'clock. So it's 10 o'clock if you're in the Pacific time, like California, Washington State, Oregon. If you're in the Mountain time, Nevada, Arizona, all that type of shit, is going to be 11 o'clock. If you're in Central time, and most of the times I'm in Central and Eastern time, so it'd be 12 o'clock or 1, and then Eastern time, like New York, Florida, Eastern time, so that's 1 o'clock. But that all depends when we change our time. So when we change our time, you guys know we go back, we fall back and fall. So like in 2 more months, the time's gonna change for us. I think we're the only country that still does this shit. You know, they did it in World War II. I think America's the only one that still changes damn time every damn year. I mean, twice a year. So in October or November, whenever we change the time back, you guys know, you just change the time, go back 1 hour on your time, right? So there you go. Go ahead, Joby.
Jarake says power has been restored nearly in all the residents in Gary, Indiana. That is up of today.
And, finally! Wow.
Nearly the 2-week outrage. Thank you for the update. Yeah, people were literally devastated due to that darkness. It's crazy. And says the utility provider NIPSCO reportedly restoring electricity to 99% of customers. That's nice. Thank you for the update on that. And then also says from railroads to robots by Mbwebe Aja Ishangi. Does amazing job of breaking all this down, kid. Okay. And says a bunch of the bootlick imitative Negroes to be. Hold on. What happened? I can't see myself. What happened? Okay. Can you guys see me?
I see you, Joby. I see you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like,
we see you. I don't know. Who you think you are? Think you just pretty and smart? No, you think you are?
I am. Frankly, you can't tell me nothing because I am. You can't even try to tell me. Just I am. Proudly, I am. Sorry if you ain't and you're insecure.
That's how we use your best attributes against you, Joby. And you'll fold like a cheap suit.
Jaraga says initiative Negroes want to be like these cave beasts with their logs, frats, ogs, and what not original, just submissive. And
guess who's on TikTok now? Everybody move to TikTok. You got crazy ass Cynthia G. You guys, I don't know if you guys be on TikTok like me. You got that crazy ass Cynthia G on TikTok now. She probably got one over, probably big cheese and took her ass over there. She over there talking crazy. Come on, it's better to be under white supremacy under a white man's rule than to ever do anything by a black man. That you don't follow no black man. Better be under white supremacy. This crazy motherfucker is crazy on TikTok. God damn. This motherfucker still ain't changed. It's crazy as cat shit. Go ahead, Joe.
Jack adding that historical context it was a documented through rare practice for enslaved to castrate young black male house servants to prevent sexual relations with their enslavers.
Yeah. They put us up, Joe, real quick. Put us up real quick, Joe, before you read it. Go to Google and say what year was George Washington Carver castrated? Remember you was growing up, you first heard George Washington Carver in school. You're like, well, he sound like a woman. They never told you that because they chopped his dick off. I didn't know they chopped the man's dick off. Why does George Washington Carver sound like a lady? And let me tell you, he sound like Joby. Let me tell you, this is the plan. This is how we do it. I'm like, what's wrong with this dude's voice? They chopped his dick off.
Google said he was never castrated. It is a rumor.
I said, what? That's known. See how crazy they do? This is known. This is known. This is known that George Washington Carver was castrated. I told you, boy, you got these cats are going to have to change all information. But go ahead, Joe.
When you check on other down documents, it's 1920.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, he wasn't castrated. He was cast. Boy, he could never be with a woman. You never know woman. Do me a favor real quick, Joe. But say, go to YouTube real quick and just say, video of George Washington Carver talking. This has been known. This ain't nobody. These people just say this for the new generation. They keep trying to rewrite history for the new people coming up. You won't know the heinous shit they've done. This Epstein class, these savages. And we're gonna pick this up Friday. It's an Epstein class too. We get into it deeper on Friday. Joey's got the music show tomorrow, so we'll do it Friday. This is a video of George Washington Carver talking. Why he sounded like a woman, because his penis was gone. They don't never teach you that. Now they want to say they don't know.
I am not sure that I am worthy of this splendid citation, but I wish to say also that I thank you from the depths of my heart.
Yeah.
And remember, George Washington Carver was a coon. He didn't want to be around black folks because even though he was in the college of black people, Tuskegee, he never protected any of his inventions because remember, he's raised by white supremacists. He's raised by this white family in Iowa who cut his penis off. He had a white mind frame. So he never fought for any injustice. We celebrate him for all the inventions he made. He still was a goddamn coon. See, they don't want to put him on to talk about giving you 5 years, boy. Because if you're talking about somebody Yasser Boston, that was George Washington Carver. Especially when Joby told you he was with Henry Ford and they were making the first cars in the world. Yasser boss. What do you want me to do, boss? Yasser boss. Yasser boss. Go ahead, Joby. Read the comment.
Zeroka says these are 3 control mechanisms in that is the bank, courts, and corporations, and adding that the 5 United Nations member states that are not members of the World Bank are Andorra, Cuba,
Iran. Everybody trying to destroy them.
Monaco, and
North Korea. That's right. Iran, North Korea. That's why they keep trying to destroy these countries, because they got to put them on this system where they steal everything, keep everybody impoverished. See, these are outliers, because especially Iran. Iran shows that Iran's not poor. Iran's not starving. Iran's got full grocery stores. Gas only costs goddamn, like Joey said, $1 or some shit, right? 20 cents. So it shows that this system is a lie. The system keeps everybody poor and keeps them rich. Go ahead, Joe.
Chat Unsunken One. Jaraki says Henry Rose Petrol was an American businessman, politician, and philanthropist. He was the founder and chief executive officer of Electronic Data System and Perot System. Perot System.
Yeah, Ross Perot.
Says he ran independence campaign in 1992, U.S. presidential elections, and a third-party campaign in 1996 US presidential election. As
well, 96, they didn't give him no. He wasn't really in 96. 96, they'd already destroyed him. 92, that's what I was talking about. The 91, the 92 campaign, but that was the 91 when they were running. Then you had an election in 92. Yeah, they'd already destroyed his ass in 91, 92. They drug his ass. He's a nut. How you gonna be a nut and you're a self-made billionaire? That's what they do, because they control the narrative. If you become a millionaire and start talking outside the system, look at this. Who the hell she thinks she? Because this nut, this Joe B, that's a nut. She's crazy. She's a nut. But how'd she make $1 billion? We don't know. But she's crazy. She probably stole it and killed some people or something. We don't know about it. But she's crazy.
Yeah. Go ahead. Robin, I hope you're doing. Robin Esther, I hope you're doing great. Also see we have KW Dons. I hope you're doing great too. And Sankenon Karibu Sana, hope you're doing great as well today. And then also have Jaraki saying, just like living color to attack the conscious movement of the time. And Jiba says, remember when Bush went to the grocery store and did not know where.
You know what price of milk? Price of milk, they're going to say? They're going to say milk? What did he say, Joby? What did he read?
What a scanner was. He didn't know what a scanner was.
A scammer was, but who? Oh, a scammer? I don't remember. What are you talking about, George W. Bush or Daddy Bush? Which Bush we talking about? We talking about the son or the father? I remember Daddy Bush didn't know what the price of a thing of milk was, right? They had him go to the grocery store. They said, George Bush Sr., what's the price of milk? That because they're out of touch. They never got to buy milk. They got these servants to buy. Remember, because I think milk back then was like $1, maybe $1.30, $1 something. Like. He said $5 or some crazy shit. He said, what? These motherfuckers never bought milk in his life.
Says Daddy Bush. Jiba says Daddy Bush.
Daddy Bush? I don't remember Daddy Bush doing that. I remember him going to try to get a gallon of milk. Yeah, but he was so out of touch, he didn't know shit. Because they're all the Epstein class, they're all the wealthy. They don't know the regular price of shit. Go ahead, Joe.
And we also have Jiba says there's okay. Jackie says Navy veteran, also Ross Petron reserved as the U.S. Navy officer from the 1953 to 1957, rising to the rank.
Oh, okay. He rose to the rank of what?
Lieutenant.
Okay, so Ross Perot was in the Navy. I didn't know that. Okay, so there you go. So, see, they don't care about you serving in no Navy. They called him a nut. He's a wacko. He's crazy. Right? If you go against their system, they don't care you was in the military serving the country. They don't care you was in. Oh, I was a military, and they don't care about that if they can use that. Right? Thank you for your service. He was a military hero. But if you go against the system, he was a nut. He probably was in the Navy getting fucked in the butt and doing all kind of weird shit. That was in the Navy. He was a Navy boy getting his booty hole taken. Like, what? Yeah. That's what they do, Joe. I told you, they take your best thing and they put it against you. Being in the Navy was a military, that's a good thing. So they're going to turn that against you. They know a lot of Navy guys are homosexuals. So they're going to say back then, not today, back then in the 90s, being homosexual was bad. Today it's okay, right? You can, because they changed the culture. Back then, you know, he's a Navy, you know, giving other seamen hand jobs and shit. Like, what? Yeah, he was over jerking off other Navy, whatever you call the Navy guy, I forgot what they call them. The Navy guys, whatever you call those guys in the Navy. He was they was on long ships, Joey, without no women. So he was in there giving dudes hand jobs.
Yeah, like your friend, your friend on the wall, like your friend on the wall. You know, the wine.
No, that guy was getting this thing sucked. That wasn't a hand job.
It is the same thing, you know, different.
The same thing. The mouth of your hand, Joey, are different. That's different.
Still giving the same pleasure. Yeah.
Well, hey, mouth and hand are two different things, Joe. See, so they would try to destroy his service by saying something crazy like that. You take the best thing about a person, Joe, the best attributes, and you turn it against them. That's how you destroy a person. Because people they love your best attributes. Of course they do. But you take your best attributes, Joby, and you turn it against you.
Yeah. But anyway, that has been our time, family, for today.
Who's this Joby girl thinks she's pretty and smart and knows languages? You know she knows languages? Because she was brought up with money and people have money. She don't know about being poor. And who do you think she is? Is she a pretty one in Kenya with a no good ass? Is she don't want no shit?
And do
that what you
and do period.
And listen to her. You see, she told you can't tell her nothing. You can't vote for her scandalous ass. You can't tell her. She knows it all.
And do, man, and do. You have to know yourself. But much love, family. Have a good day. See you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you so much for joining me. And remember,
everybody hit that like button. Everybody hit that Cash App.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly what I wanted to say. Hit the Cash App, hit that like button, subscribe if in case it's your first time. Download.
See everybody by Friday. Yep.
Yeah. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, but on the music.
Y'all forget to pay her music for nobody. Okay? You watch out.
Much love, peace, family, and I'm out. Yes, I'm enjoying myself.